Anytime you want to know if the economy is back to normal, go to Vegas. If Vegas is humming, like, okay, we're good. And always, whenever you go to Vegas, talk to cab drivers and talk to the drivers who are doing Uber. Always ask, how's conventions doing? Are you noticing things canceling? No, this has been crazy for us the last 3 months. Everything's good. But if they start seeing a downturn, they're typically an indicator of what's to come. One of my friends, their construction company, does very well. We have these 3 clients that we have who are doing transportation. 2 of them, numbers are down 40, 50%. One of them is doing $1 billion a year. Their revenue is down 70%. Why would transportation be down 70%? Aren't Walmart, Amazon companies ordering stuff to ship it from here to there? Why would that be lowering? What do they know that we don't know? Again, these are people who have data to insider stuff that we can sit there and say, these are great indicators when you're studying these things on what's going on. Does this mean recession is going to come here? My bigger fear is a reverse market crash, which Venezuela just went through. All of a sudden, rates get lowered and Dow and S&P goes. And Dow goes from 33, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, just goes boom.
Is that just the dollar losing its purchasing power?
Yes, exactly. That's what happens. The more we're printing, like the inventory increases the more we print money. The more you print dollars and it's more accessible, the less it's valued, the less it's worth. You sit there and you're like, okay, so does this mean guys are not going to make a lot of money? No. You're going to see the first trillionaire in the next 24 months because none of this is going to affect the guys at the top. None of it. Every time they print money, the guys at the top make more money. If there's anybody that should be against printing money, it's low and middle income families. If there's anybody that's for printing money, guess who it is? The guys at the top. Why? Because the poor in middle America can't keep money. They spend it. And when they spend it, what do they buy? A product owned by somebody in the S&P 500 or other people who have businesses. Money flows up. They can keep printing money all they want. So when low and middle income families are like, look at these guys, all they care about is themselves. Let that bill pass for $2.7 trillion. You simply look at them and you say, you have no clue how money works. Guess what? Let's print $10 trillion. Rich are okay with it. You ain't going to get the rich complaining about printing $10 trillion or $5 trillion. BlackRock's going to be like, all right, cool. $8 to $10 trillion of money in our ETFs, and we're buying up a bunch of different companies. We're buying up all these properties today. Right now, it's going to be nothing, but in the next few years, you have to go through us, and we dictate the market, and we're going to own it all. And what are you going to do about it? The idea of middle America not being able to make the money they need to make to be able to afford a house, send their kids to school, live in a nice place, enjoy some of their dreams, maybe not the biggest ones, but some of their dreams are going to become a reality. Middle America is getting smaller and smaller and smaller every single time we print money.
You have to have a mechanism by which you put this new money that you created out of thin air by fiat, literally just saying it now exists. You have to put it into the system. The way it's put into the system is by buying assets, because typically low and middle income people don't buy assets. They buy products, like you were saying. Then they aren't beneficiary of that unless there are stimulation checks. Now those they will get sent directly to them. So there are ways to put it in their pocket. But what you're effectively doing is socializing losses. So you are spreading the loss out across everybody. My dollar buys less, and so it takes more dollars to buy the same thing because nothing fundamentally happened. The business that I own a piece of did not become more productive and therefore can actually generate more by adding more value to the world. Once you understand that, like I actually, as a wealthy person, do complain when people print money because I'm like, hey, there is a point at which you break everything because the money is just going to hyperinflate, and it isn't only going to be the stock market that goes up, it's going to be the cost of bread and gas and taking your family to a movie and all of that. When COVID happened, that actually kept us from going into something that probably should have been worse than the Great Depression. The money printed their way out of it, and we ended up being okay because it was spread across a lot of people. Now, because I am such a student of Ray Dalio, I know that governments, once they start money printing, they can't stop. And every time in human history that has been used as a tool, it's used until it breaks. Until it breaks, every time, without exception. And typically, as it's racing towards breaking, I think it's 8 out of the last 14 times it's ended up in a hot war. As the big debt cycle comes to an end and money's inflating away to nothing, debt is completely out of control, nobody can make their payments, everybody's defaulting, you have to have a complete reset of the wealth, which is, I think, why everybody calls this the Great Reset or the Big Reset or whatever. Because we are forestalling catastrophe right now by printing, but we are only forestalling it. And nobody, I've had a lot of people on the show, nobody can tell me how you pull out of this death spiral other than austerity, and no one's going to do austerity.
Yeah, so how can you fix this thing? My question would be, How do you fix this thing in a year? No one's going to know how to fix it because it's not going to happen. How do you address this and make progress towards getting better over a 20-year span? Okay, now we're talking. 40-year span? Even better. The problem with America today is the following, which, by the way, is a beautiful thing, but it's also a problem. Whoever that gets elected, we have cyclical cycles, okay? You got Carter gets elected, then it's Reagan Sr., then you have Clinton, then you have Bush, then you have Obama, then you have Trump, then you have Biden. So Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat. So every time you do this, every 8 years, the system is like changing. So cycles are changing. Whatever you're doing is changing. So you can't really consistently build on a philosophy over a 20-year period because in America, you can't put a 20-year plan in place. There is no such thing as a 20-year plan in America because whoever's the next guy that's going to come take your job is going to say, no, we're not building that wall. No, we're not going to do that. No, we're going to cut those benefits. No, we're going to add these benefits. No, we are going to spend more money. No, we are going to leave this war. No, we are going to get into this war. These things, the complexity of what we're asking about is challenging because no one leader is going to run for 20 years. We just don't have that.
Would you want it?
Is it good for America long term? Absolutely not. If that one person's a shitty person that gets into office for 20 years, this thing's gone. It's destroyed. At least this allows us to not be able to go super extreme because you have to get it through Congress and Senate, and it's already complicated enough to do that. But to fix this thing, you're never going to have both sides agree philosophically, economically on what they're going to be doing over a 20-year span. You have the war right now with China and India. iPhones are now being made in India. You can now get iPhones where on the back of it, it says made in India. First time. Not made in China. It says made in India. Really? Guess who blocked TikTok in their country? India. Guess who's blocked 100 apps of China? India. India is not afraid of China. Now, why does China not like India? Why do they always behind closed doors talk shit? Yet at the same time, they're part of BRICS. You got Brazil, you got Russia, you got India. You know, you got China, and I think it's South Africa that's part of the BRICS, right? Okay. So they're part of the same thing, but there's also a way of, competing. The reason why I like India a lot, and I think India is going to play a very important role here, is because India has seen how China negotiated with US, and they've realized we're not doing that. But India has also seen the mistakes China made with the one-child rule and over-expansion and what's going on with a lot of these properties that they build out in cities that looks like just like Paris. I don't know if you've seen the city they build in China. It's a city. Everything Paris has, it has. It looks identical to Paris. If you Google
the same
this,
kind of architecture?
if I show you the picture, you would think it's Paris. They spend billions of their own money to build a city replicating exactly Paris. That's what China did, okay?
Wow.
Everything they have a Champs-Élysées, same exact model. So China overexpanded very quickly. India's watching. China, they had their one-child policy. The average age of a Chinese right now is 38.4 years old. India is 27, 28. India's IIT Institute is producing incredible engineers. Many companies here will hire Indian engineers, and they're rock stars, better than MIT in many cases. So I think India is very important for the next 20, 30, 40 years. As long as India is there, China's going to hate it. They're not going to like it. The fact that Tim Cook right now has got a very hard job. I think Tim Cook in the span of 4 weeks lost $350 billion of valuation for Apple. One, because iPhone 15 didn't do what they expected it to do. Two, because China is now giving them a hard time because China is their number one market of iPhones they sell. Now China's sitting there saying, wait a minute, we sell more iPhones in this country than anywhere else, yet you're giving our business to India? Who the hell do you think you are?
Right.
Then on the back end, the real war that's taking place is the semiconductor chips. And there's different levels to the semiconductor chips that's being built. And China's specialized in the cheapest kind to make, the easiest kind to make, where some countries have specialized on the tough kinds to make when it comes down to semiconductor chips. This is why China can't stand Taiwan being there. This is why China wants Taiwan, because Taiwan specializes in building the extremely technical semiconductor chips that the rest of the world uses. And then there's complete other aspects to this that you can get even deeper on. So Taiwan's going to play a very important role. You know, we can't have a Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Palestine, Gaza, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Turkey. We can't have that taking place with Taiwan. Taiwan needs to stay separate. That needs to stay protected. How we do that, I don't know how we're going to do that. We're getting involved in one too many wars. But if Taiwan stays free and China relies on them, because China destroyed the world during COVID, absolutely destroyed. We realize 80% of medications being built there, 80% of the technology that we need is being built there. They controlled everything. Car pricing, used prices went up 50%. Like, what are you talking about? You mean to tell me I bought this car for $90,000? It's used. You're willing to pay me $130,000? Yes. Are you serious? Yes. Why? We don't have chips to make cars. Are you kidding me? No. Rolexes, they were making Rolexes for 18 months. They didn't have equipment to make Rolexes. You go to a Rolex shop, what do you have? We only have one watch. Can I order Rolex? No. 12 months, you're not going to get it. Are you serious? Yes, nothing. This is what was going on at our Rolex store. So the stuff that gets me optimistic is India, Taiwan. We're committed to the semiconductor business here. The things that concern me is China. Erdogan wanting to be involved in the Israeli war, because most people don't realize the most powerful military in the Middle East is not Israel. Israel is powerful, but Israel has 300,000 soldiers, of which I think 150 is reserve. Turkey has nearly 400 active soldiers, the number one military in the Middle East. If Turkey gets involved, be careful with these companies like Raytheon and Boeing and General Dynamics and these guys that are making a lot of money when there's wars. We have to be very careful with that when that's taking place. Ray Dalio says a depression could be possibly around the corner. A lot of these guys are fearing what is taking place today. Michael Burry shorted the S&P 500, $1.6 billion of his clients' money. And now he did it in a way where, you're kind of protected, but still, he's not optimistic about the S&P. What will happen? The rich are still going to get rich. The innovators are still going to find a way to win. The people who learn how to use AI on their side, they're going to advance and excel even more. The acceleration and the disparity between the rich and the poor is going to get wider and wider and wider. Why? Because most people are going to spend majority of their lives on Instagram, on TikTok. They're not going to learn a new skill set. They're not studying AI right now. They're not studying technology right now. Harvard did an article saying to stay competitive right now, every 18 months you have 10 new skill sets to learn as an executive. It wasn't like that. It used to be 10 new skill sets every 5 years. Now we have to learn 10 new skill sets every 18 months. How the hell do we keep up? We talk about only the paranoid survival. Like right now, you have to be looking at this shit's out there. What part of it do I control? What part of it do I have no control over? If not a billionaire or a hecta or a decamillionaire, man, I got to figure out a way to increase my market value or else I'm going to get crushed. You're going to over the next 10, 20 years. If you're going to spend more time on Netflix, more time watching all these shows, more time playing all these games, more time watching all these TikTok, Instagram, if you're going to spend more time on that than building value for yourself and learning new skill sets, fortunately for that community, they're going to be okay. This doesn't mean a recession is still not coming though.
Because only the paranoid survive, there's actually two things you need to be paranoid about right now. Paranoia number one is you can pull out of the market too soon and miss real opportunities. And since no one is going to be able to accurately forecast the timing, you have to be thoughtful about that. So one strategy might be just that you dollar cost average in every day, make sure that you have a certain amount of savings so that you're not going to find yourself in a panic situation. The whole purpose of having cash in a bull market is to make sure that you don't have a forced sale in a bear market. And I thought that was a really wise way. So we're going to optimize for options. To do that, you're going to want to be largely in cash and index funds. When I say cash, I'm talking money market, treasury bills, something like that.
5 points right now.
Yep. Which is fucking amazing. All day, every day, I'll take it. Now would not be the time, in my opinion, to invest in anything where you're not just an absolute complete expert, where you have so much disproportionate knowledge that you're able to really recognize a deal when you see it. But that's my rough guidance to myself.
I think it was fantastic, and we're very aligned. Look, you're sitting there watching some of these guys sitting on a lot of cash. Why are they sitting on a lot of cash? Are they sitting on a lot of cash in case it's the fan? Is that what they're doing? Or are they just kind of sitting on a lot of cash, wondering, I don't really know what's going on. When I say people, I mean Berkshire Hathaway. I mean, these guys have a lot of cash right now. They're sitting on the table. Maybe they're not buying value stocks yet because they don't yet believe value stocks are here. If you're not in this business, if you're not in the business of investments, financial advisor, broker, day trader, don't play around and get crazy about it. Crypto, a lot of people got into crypto and NFT, and that was not their world. They didn't know about it. They lost a lot of money. I mean, a couple guys made $90 million, but the people that bought their stuff lost $89 million, but they got their money. There's a lot of guys that made the money in NFTs, but it was a gamble for everybody. And everybody's like, oh my God, but I believe it and all this other stuff. Okay, great, that's pretty crazy. Does that mean NFTs are going away? Absolutely not. My kids still buy stuff on Roblox and skins and all that. There's an element of it that is not going to go away.
Guaranteed.
Is there 95% of NFTs that are not coming back? Yes, probably. Some of them are going to be gone. I have interest in things I know about. Jamie Dimon's got a $900 million art collection. Why? He showed me this yesterday that he paid $200,000 for it. That picture is probably worth $8 to $10 million today. Money in art being made, again, non-duplicatable assets are very, very valuable. Whatever there's few of, very valuable. But only touch it if you know a lot about it. If you know nothing about crypto, don't even get close to it. Don't get too crazy. Oh my God, I'm hearing, Bitcoin's going to go to 100,000. It may go to 500,000. But don't do it because you're guessing because somebody else said it. Do it because you've done a lot of due diligence in it. So if you don't want to have that kind of a risk tolerance, indexing is the way to go to play it safe. Now, to the small community of crazies that have an itch and a tolerance for madness. When you have a certain amount of money, I'm talking to my Goldman guy. He comes in, we're having our conversation. He says, hey, here's what I think we can do with this amount of money. I said, okay, what about it? He says, here's a strategy we can use the next 90 days. I said, do you have any questions for me? He says, I got one question for you. Are you okay if in the next 6 months we lose $55 million in this? What a great question. Just straight up. I'm like, no, I'm not okay with this.
That's a big nut.
He says, no problem, totally get it. Then we can't go the way that this is one of the options we can go on. Because what do you think are the chances of a World War III happening in the next 6 to 12 months? I don't know if I'm at 50%, but I'm at 10%. Well, 10 is pretty high. Okay, if that happens, how bad is it going to be? You know, like during COVID, Dow went to 18,000. I don't know if you remember for that minute that Dow went to 18,000, everybody was like, holy shit, what's going on? But very quickly went back to 32,000. So it recovered very quickly. So what does this mean? If you think a possibility of craziness is going to happen, that you keep cash and it happens, you can buy in dollar cost average, okay, yes. You think you're that brilliant that you can time it? Historically, very few people have been able to do it, and those who did got purely lucky. Do you want to be part of that camp? Because most people, historically, what happened to them? They missed being in the market on the 5 best days.
Correct.
And missing those 5 best days ended up costing them the difference between making 13% over a 20-year period to making 7.8%.
Correct.
And that's a lot of money, by the way, between those two. So if that's not the world you want to play, don't do it. For me, the game we're playing is a different game. There's going to be a lot of assets for sale the next couple of years. And if you've made the right choices and you have cash and some of these assets don't perform the next couple of years, there's the opportunity to pick up assets. There's different levels right now in the marketplace. If you have cash, a lot of it, companies are going to be for sale the next 3, 6, 12 months. And there's going to be a lot of opportunities for you to increase your market share within the industry. If not, you're somebody that doesn't have a very high risk tolerance, do not screw around the next 6, 12 months thinking you are Nostradamus and you can predict the future, because the market's going to destroy you. It's undefeated. We're 1 or 2 people away being offended of World War III getting started. You got 16 million to 18 million people died World War I, 60 million on 2. Third one, if we go at this trajectory, could be 200 million. The job that we have collectively is to try to do whatever we can to turn down the temperature, not increase it. If you and your wife get into an argument and you call me and you say, you won't believe what she said, my job isn't to say, she said that, Tom? Oh, dude, if she would have said that to me, it's done. Are you kidding me? Doesn't she realize how amazing you are? How lucky she is to have you? Instead, it's to say, come on, bro, she loves you. And you know you love her. She's partly right, bro. I'm gonna take her side. How could you say something like that? You're not on my side, you're on her side. Probably on this one end, but I'm telling you privately. I'd go back and try to make this work. Screw you, Pat. Totally get it, bro. Let me know if you want to talk later. You get off the phone. I have a job, and it's called Doug. Diffuse, unify, and be the glue. We don't have a lot of Dougs around the world today. We have division today. We have divisiveness today. But if there's that one strong personality, leader of the free world, a Churchill, a Reagan, a person you don't want to mess with, the world is typically a safe place.
What do you think the odds that we are already in some sort of Roman Empire-like decline? Meaning already in it, in that it will happen in the next 10 to 15 years?
Here's the best thing about capitalism. Capitalism prevents you from doing stupid things because it's going to hurt your capital. Jamie Dimon is not going to want to screw up what he's doing. And his legacy is going to matter to him because there's no way in the world he's going to let Sandy Weil be able to say, I told you guys that guy failed, he was a nobody. He's not going to let that happen. And he's running the most, company that every day $7 trillion they see come in and out. JP Morgan Chase, right? Apple, Amazon, Gates, Microsoft, these guys have assets. Are they going to let something crazy happen to it? I don't know. Musk, who is standing up against the establishment, he's not okay with what the establishment's trying to do. And with social media, a lot of this bullshit's being exposed. Whether it's talking about ESG and what BlackRock and they're trying to do, or Open Society Foundation, or these DEI scores, CEI scores, which California is famous for, they're getting exposed, right? And people are talking about it. So social media is allowing us to hold people accountable. I don't know if you saw what just happened right now this week with Supreme Court having a discussion to say social media companies cannot take anything off their websites.
Whoa.
This week. So censorship at the highest level. You don't have the right to take anything down. Okay, and they can protect sanity in America with some of the ways that businesses have been bullying people during COVID. COVID, what it did do, which was great, what's that quote? Absolute power reveals what this person's driven by, right? Lincoln said, if you want to test someone's character, give them power and see what they do. Guess what? During COVID, who did we give power to? If we're not oblivious and not naive, we realize what the people of power really wanted to do. So to me, it was fantastic to really see them show their cards. Oh, this is what you're trying to do to America. We're not going to let that happen. You got guys like Rogan to flip. You got guys like Elon Musk. Oh, so you were full of shit the entire time. I thought you were trying to do something good. Got it. I'm not part of your camp. I'm going to go buy Twitter. There's no way he's going to buy Twitter. Elon Musk bought 100% of Twitter. You just showed your true colors. Beautiful. That was fantastic. Hey, we want you guys to go and work from home. Really? Yes. I'm living in New York. I'm working for XYZ company. They're paying me 250 grand a year. I can't live normal life in New York. I'll go live in Florida. Work from home, except now I'm not paying the taxes. Oh, no. We don't want you to work from home. Why now? I can work from home from Florida. No, we want you to come back to New York now. Got it. So you screwed up the policies, but now I'm in Florida. I'm not coming back to New York because I actually love Florida. And I'm stuck here. And people from California went and worked from home in Texas, and now they're saving at 13%. Now they're not coming back. So they were like, oh, people are going to come back. They never came back. The people never came back. So this empire is falling. The great equalizer is social media. If social media sticks around, I don't think it's going to happen, because I think on one end, capitalists, the rich people, are not going to want to lose all their money. So they're eventually going to be like, yeah, I don't support what you're doing, Soros. Charlie Munger said something very interesting. He says, look, I love Larry Fink, but I don't want him as my emperor. What a thing to say. Because they know what Larry Fink's trying to do. People are not dummies. Those types of people, I think, are going to fight each other enough. And if we keep our eyes open, this will continue to be the greatest country in the world, and hopefully even better if we rise up to it. If not, the best days are behind us, if we don't learn our lesson from the last 3 years.